Hello?
Yes, is this Richie Incognito?
This is Richie.
Richie, this is Coach Belichick from the New England Patriots.
I hope you don't mind. I got your number off of Twitter.
Let me get right to the point. I want you in a Patriots jersey this upcoming season.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Hey, sorry about all the background noise. I'm in a CrossFit right now.
Listen, we're prepared to offer you $75 million
For 3 years guaranteed.
That's perfect!
And I would also like to offer you
front row tickets to the BET Awards and a year subscription to Ebony Magazine.
Yeah, sure. It's awesome. Oh, and one more thing.
April Fools. About the BET and the Ebony? All of it, Einstein. I gotta go. The box score starts now.
What the?
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Coward for box score. Welcome to the Box Score. I'm Brock here in Los Angeles, and the Danettes will join us from Milford, Connecticut. Happy April Fool's Day. Let's start with the infamous poll. McLovin, you had a little trouble with the poll, picking that one for today, but DP suggested one, but you hesitated. Why weren't you comfortable with that one?
Well, Dan suggested who should be most nervous about NBC hiring Josh Elliott, and the choices were Matt Lauer, Bob Costas, or Dan. Now, if you're at Dan's level, I guess this is amusing, but to me, first of all, I was afraid it would upset NBC, our partners, and I was also afraid of talking about that subject. The thought of Dan being nervous makes me nervous because I'm attached to Dan.
Well, you took the boss's bait and he used it to embarrass you on national TV.
Huh.
Between us, can we lose the poll question? Yesterday was fun, but let's move on.
Is it from NBC?
It's somebody outside of our group.
All right.
So, if you want to put up another one, McLovin, we can do that.
Nice job, McLovin.
McLovin. April Fool.
Yeah, that one was, nobody knew about that one. That one was held pretty close to the vest there. I think Paul and Dan were in on it, and there was a little bit of a closed-door meeting on the other side that nobody knew what was going on, and then all of a sudden there was, well, we got to change the poll question, and something's going on, and set everybody up, really, for the joke.
Yeah, but if you look at the joke, though, I mean, Dan thought of the poll question. The email was to Paulie. How was the joke on me?
They still found a way to turn it on.
You should watch your reaction again to it, and then you'll know how the joke was on you.
I believed it too. It was directed at you to get your reaction.
Well, and earlier in the show, you didn't want to put the poll question up because you thought you were going to get in trouble.
Well, McLovin, the joke only works if it's on you, because I emailed a high-level executive from NBC who's friendly. Right. Said, could you send me a dummy email from your account that will look like you're upset about the poll question? Brought it into Dan, explained the bit to Dan, so it's like, all right, I'll take care of it from here. Brought in McLovin and said, here's what I got. We got to pull the plug on this thing. And it wasn't the biggest joke of all time, but with a April Fool's joke, the less of the joke, the better it is to get through without being caught. Sometimes if you swing for the fences and whiff, that ruins the joke. If you just put a little drag bunt down there to get someone, you'll get them.
Yeah, but I think this was a drag bunt that was fielded by a third baseman. He threw the guy out at first.
Ooh.
By the way,
sure.
I will admit,
I'd love to see yours
I was
next year.
100% fooled. I had no idea it was fake. But I'm still not quite sure how I figured into it.
Did you hear the reaction of everybody else in the room?
Yeah, that was all fake.
No, but you weren't getting upset.
I don't even think he knew what was going on.
You weren't getting a little upset that maybe this executive thought it originated from you, or you were part of stirring something up?
No, because not for 1 second. Did you
Aren't you
think
the
that?
poll
Or
question
because
guy?
you're the person that gives out the poll question, somehow it would be tied to you.
Well, maybe that.
The idea of the joke wasn't that McLovin was in trouble in any way. It's almost like his fears came true that someone at NBC would be upset with this.
Yes.
And I thought you were actually going to walk and say, I told you guys, and then we said, McLovin, it's fake.
No, I mean, it all worked in a way, but it's not a traditional joke on McLovin. Like your intro that it embarrassed me on national TV.
Well, that wasn't the idea to embarrass you. It was about to get you to believe something was happening that wasn't.
McLovin, I'm sure you're thinking why you got singled out since Fritzy is usually DP's punching bag. Let's see what he said in this edition of Boss's Thoughts.
I guess we thought that he was gullible, fallible, and we could do it quickly because he's sensitive about the poll question. I couldn't do it to Fritzy for obvious reasons. Seton, I wasn't going to try to pull an April Fool's Day prank on him. So McLovin seemed the easiest because you could do it in the moment, and that way he'd have to react quickly and then think about it, and then he'd overthink it and rethink it, and then realize that maybe he had gotten me in trouble. So, mission accomplished.
I had gotten him in trouble for putting up a poll that he forced me to against my will. See, all right, fine. I was gotten, but it's just, there's something just off. I think in general it was an April Fool's bit without a particular subject of the prank.
We gave it about 45 seconds of preparation, so yeah, it wasn't well thought out. Thought it worked okay on the fly.
I thought it was pretty funny, but I don't think I was the subject of the prank. I'm just going to say it was sort of just a bit that we did.
No, you were the hook of the prank. You were necessary to make the prank work because your reaction to the poll question and defensiveness about it opened the door for us to fake that to everybody. We were faking Seton and Fritzy too. Like, well, I don't know what their reaction was going to be, or even the people at home, or the people at DirecTV, and even the people at NBC who watch this show every day. I want to see how many people would be like, uh-oh, is this real? And then you go, okay.
I was concerned. I thought that some big shot at NBC was upset with us or the show, and then when I realized that it was maybe more directed towards McLovin because he's the one that keeps giving out the poll question, and it was somehow that this executive is mad specifically or upset with McLovin.
It's funny that this is like 10 minutes of discussion on something that took 10 seconds on the show.
Just out of curiosity, Paulie, why did you consider having the person email me directly?
No, because then I lose control of the bit. If I give that to you, you email them back, you say, is this real? The bit is out of my control. With an April Fool's joke, whatever it may be, once you lose control of it, then you can't really pull it off anymore. We did one, Brock, a bunch of years ago, back at the Mothership, 04. And the bit was that we were coming back from break, but we didn't know we were back from break already, and our mics were open. And Dan and Rob Dibble, the co-host at the time, got in this really heated argument that kind of went from nowhere to 100 in about 30 seconds. And everybody around the country hears this argument. And Dan came off like an ass in this argument, but it was completely scripted. And people around the campus of Bristol were calling, saying, Paul, do you realize you're on air? Do you realize you're on air? Oh my God, you're on air, you're on air. Hundreds and hundreds of emails are coming in, literally by the second, saying, what a jerk Dan is, what a baby Dibble is. And we sent back a mass email, April Fools, and Dan came back and said, April Fools. And I literally had to tell management who thought we were on the air and we were losing control of the show, hey, April Fools, man, we got you too.
All right. Let's move on. Paulie, you had some breaking news during the show. Wojo was hired as head coach of Marquette. Did you and Fritzy take extra precautions to confirm the story since it is April Fool's Day?
I sure did. In all seriousness, this is my least favorite day of the year as a sports radio producer. You don't know what's real. You get excited when you hear breaking news, and it's tough to put the brakes on because normally you check everything. But when I saw Jeff Goodman of ESPN reported this, I emailed Jeff, didn't hear back, but I emailed the assignment desk of ESPN, and I said, is this good to go? Not April Fool's? Like, no, real. And unless the assignment desk at ESPN was in on it, which I doubt, it was good to go. And same with Tiger. I checked Tiger's website. I was looking for like a dummy website or like a just kidding at the bottom of the article. And just taking an extra 60 seconds can save your bacon.
And more stories were coming out to confirm that. Plus, we actually, and Dan suggested we do that as well, we actually called Duke to see if we can get Coach K on the line to confirm that. We reached out to Marquette to make sure that they've in fact hired Wojo. So we made sure this wouldn't be a day that we all got embarrassed in any way.
I didn't believe it, actually. When we sent the email out, I was like, no way, dude, this is a joke and a bad one at that, no way. And then the ESPN story came out. Then CBS confirmed it, and I was like, whoa, CBS is totally stealing ESPN's bad tweet, joke, story thing or whatever. I didn't buy it at all, and I kind of don't still.
Is it still, I kind of with you, but is it too subtle of a story? Like, Wojo leaves for Marquette, like, that's such a, like, how could anyone have made that up? It's too random.
Right, and
it lacks comedy.
Gotcha.
It lacks comedy, but there is... it's kind of a middle-of-the-road breaking news story, one that you're not going to overly question. Like the Tiger Woods one, I'm like, all right, let's wait here for a second. I want to. We had 2 minutes left in the show with the Tiger Woods note, and I'm like, I really want to get this on the show, but I'd hate to be wrong. And then signing off, we look like a bunch.
Right. If you would do April Fools, you would do Coach K retires Wojo to take over Duke. That would be like an obvious like, gotcha. But it would be more brilliant to do Wojo takes over Marquette, like a completely random storyline. Yeah.
There was one time at ESPN, a show on the weekend. Had done an April Fool's joke where it was either that like A-Rod or Manny Ramirez was traded or suspended, something like that. But they had this story that was just a big joke that they did for 3 hours, and it did not go over well at all when you're the worldwide leader. People were not happy.
All right, guys, let's take a break. Coming up, we'll hit the diamond and talk a little baseball, and we'll take to Twitter to see what you want to know from the Danettes. Stick around. Welcome back to the Box Score. It's the day after opening day, and I'm sure you guys, being huge baseball fans, made sure to watch your teams yesterday. Fritzy, did you catch any Astros action?
I did not catch any Astros action, and in all honesty, as big of a fan as I was of the Astros in the 80s and early 90s, I couldn't even tell you for sure if the Astros played yesterday. I caught little bits and pieces of different games.
Do you know which league they're in right now?
I know they've switched from the National League to the American League.
AAA.
They keep changing their uniforms, and they're predicted to finish in last place with like 100-plus losses. So it's just a total disaster. But yeah, I can't believe after all the years of being such an Astro fan that I can't tell you for sure if they started or they start today or if they played their first game yesterday. I don't know.
Okay, they did not. Well, one team that made the headlines was the Brewers. More notably, Ryan Braun. Let's take a let's go around the room real quick. Give us your thoughts on the standing ovation Brewers fans gave Braun. Paulie, let's start with you.
Well, it's tough because it's not like you're validating what he did, because I don't think anyone in that crowd would say, man, I love that he cheated, then threw some guy under the bus and almost cost him his livelihood. It's more like, what other choice do you have? If you're attending a game, you root for the guy who's up to bat by nature. You know, what are you gonna do? Boo him, and then the minute he hits a triple, a game-winning triple, yay! You know, let's just cheer for our guy because he's still in our uniform, and unfortunately, he's a cheater. I
mean, I get it. I mean, it's not like he actually did anything. It's not like he's returning back from an injury. He's returning back from suspension. But you support your guy because he's on your team, and there's a certain element of forgiveness that, you know, everybody deserves.
Well, what about someone who buys a Ryan Braun jersey now? See, that to me would be weird. Like, I could clap for you. That doesn't take almost any effort. And if you hit a home run, of course I'm gonna clap for you. But if you went and bought your child or yourself a Ryan Braun jersey now, it's like I'm making a statement that I really, really don't care.
Yeah, for me, like, I grew up a huge Steve Carlton fan in Philadelphia. Then there are all these reports that came out about what a weird guy he was afterwards, a real sort of negative thing. And I still would have rooted for him, because when you're a kid rooting for baseball, you don't care. And I think it's like an us against them mentality.
Yeah, it was difficult for me. It just seemed very awkward and strange. I understand it's the home team and you're trying to get past what happened and you're trying to support your star player who's going to be with you, like it or not, for the coming years. But, you know, when my son started asking questions about it because he was familiar with the story and that he lied and cheated and wanted to understand more about why the fans were all standing up and cheering for this guy, it was a difficult question for me to answer.
Opening day also brought us the new replay system in baseball, and by the sound of things, the boss thinks there's a reason they don't call it an instant replay.
All of a sudden, you're going out and you're going. Hey guys, how you doing, man? Nice day, opening day. Feels good. All right, Skip. What we gonna challenge this? Oh, we gonna challenge that. We're gonna challenge that play right there. Saw a little bit of that yesterday.
First of all, the music Dan did to sort of describe the walk at moseying his way out there to talk to the umpire was a riot. And then for some reason, Dan brought it down south. Yeah, going that's right there, Skip. What do you got there? Is this the way all like managers and umpires talk? Hey there, yep, gonna challenge this one.
Yeah, Cubs manager's from Chicago, probably. Oh yeah. All of a sudden, he sounds like Dale Sr.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of Chicago, another opening day incident discussed on the show was Cubs catcher Wellington Castillo taking a ball to the nards. Fritzy, is this tough to watch considering you've had some lower body issues recently?
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Not quite that particular play, but that looked extremely painful. And we talked about it earlier in the show, whether he was wearing a cup or not, it's going to hurt and throb, and that's a very difficult situation to just continue playing after that and catch your breath and get your blood back going.
Well, you are correct. The moment provided the boss the perfect opportunity to discuss the importance of wearing a cup.
Some guys will go sans cup. But yeah, I like the cup. You know, I felt like in case you take a grounder, especially if you're a catcher and you get that foul tip off the plate and then it goes up underneath the undercarriage.
It sort of just helps spread around the pain. So it's not really just focused on one specific area. It just sort of spreads it.
Yeah, Brock, it's interesting because the sports I played growing up, you didn't need a cup, archery and wrestling. You know, we have one here. Now, I've never even worn one in any fashion before. And it's funny because this is the proper way, but you'd think the way things are put together down south, you'd rather have it like this for more of a protective thing. I think we invent one that goes this way.
You know, when I was in Little League, I had to go to the pharmacy to buy a cup, and I bought a gigantic one. Here I was like this 11-year-old kid with this gigantic cup in my pants.
Brock,
It's so awkward.
I played 6th grade football, and we had this kid on the team named Chris Sofer, and his dad was the equipment manager, and Chris was the only guy in our entire team that wore a cup. And one time he went in and blocked a punt and went right off his nuts. He got right up, and as he's walking, as God is my witness, he runs out the field, because we used to joke that he's the only one who wore a cup. He, out of his pants, he pulls up his cup, and is holding it like this, like, see? See? Because he wasn't hurt.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness. All right, well, let's take a look back really quick to McLovin putting the Athletic Cup to good use circa 2009. Seton, is this still the most satisfying moment you've ever had on the show?
By far. By far. I can't wait to show my son this clip and be like, buddy, just stick with it and your dreams will come true, too. It's definitely my finest television moment, without a doubt. I'm so proud of that clip.
That's definitely
I don't know.
cheaper than a vasectomy to work on the Dan Patrick Show.
I don't know how you got up. I thought you were going to stay down and like sleep over at the man cave and you know, just going to stay the night after you get hit like that.
I wish we could see that multiple times again.
Maybe we could watch that.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's. Yeah, it doesn't get old. You think it would? Think it would get old. Nah.
That's just stuff to watch.
Situation.
On the topic of painful and embarrassing issues, can you share with us some sports-related injuries you guys have suffered through the years?
I was trying to jump over a ramp one time and with some friends on a BMX bicycle, and right before I hit the ramp, my thing fell off, and I racked myself, and then went over the ramp like this, and just fell face first. But I mean, I was much more pain down here than up here.
I remember climbing a fence by my playground growing up, and the bottom of my jeans got caught with the top point of the fence, and I was hanging upside down for about a half hour. It was like 10 degrees, and my friends couldn't reach to get me down, and they're trying to flag somebody down to help get me off, and like blood's rushing to my head, and I'm literally just swinging, hanging upside down from the fence, which was just beyond embarrassing.
Yeah, my only thing was actually on the show. I was showing off that I could do a split or something about 6 months ago, and I pulled I haven't even talked much about this. I have a quad pull that has really been debilitating my running because I was showing off during a look-in.
My worst sports injury came from, I was either freshman or sophomore in high school, and I was lifting weights with the baseball team. And this is probably the last time I benched anything. But the next morning when I woke up, my right testicle was throbbing, absolutely throbbing, and I was like sort of whimpering in my bed, and my dad kept being like, dude, you okay, or whatever, and after the third time, I was like, Dad, my nuts hurt really bad. And so he took me to the hospital, and while I'm waiting, you know, I'm in the waiting room with my dad keeps going, paging Dr. Scrotum to the waiting room. And I'm like, dude, you're killing me. And the pain was actually so bad that I was throwing up all over the place. Oh. And then they took me back into this room, and they were doing some type of x-ray on my testicle, where these absolutely gorgeous nurses or doctors had put like goo on me there, and then were holding this like wand against it and looking at things there and saying, oh, look at the flow here, it's really nice, this is beautiful. And I'm this, 13-year-old, 14-year-old boy sitting there wondering why my nut's throbbing, and these beautiful women, and my dad saying, paging Dr. Scrotum. That was pretty awful.
Sounds like a pretty good time, the end part of that story there with the hot girls and the goo.
I think, well, if I had one, it would probably be a quad, and I blew it out racing a guy, and we were both way too old to be running. I got up to my top speed about 10 miles an hour, blew up my quad, cell phone, visor went everywhere, and some poor lady walking her dog laughed at me, so. All right, coming up, it's Twitter Tuesday. We'll take your questions next, and who does DP love more, you guys or NBC? Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Box Score. Time to take to social media to see what's on the mind of Dan Nation. We ask you to send in your questions for the Danettes, so let's see what you got. Our first question is from Joe. If Dan said you could do the show in any city in the world for a week, where would you choose? Paulie.
I'm going to go Positano, Italy. Little beach town on the Amalfi Coast. It's beautiful, it's fantastic, and it's just for selfish reasons. There's almost no sports reason in any way to be there, but we would have a good time.
All right, I'm sticking with Europe, and I'm going to go Barcelona, because that's high on my vacation list.
For me, downtown Brooklyn, my commute is the bane of my existence. So if we could do the show right outside my house or even in my house, that would be awesome.
I'm going to say somewhere on the beaches of Rio or any part of the world where they're comfortable with having ladies walking around not wearing...
Dan's going to make you wear a Speedo.
That's true.
You're down with that, though. Come on. Don't act like
if it means seeing some of the most beautiful women in the world walking around naked, I can throw on a Speedo or a Bronco barrel or something like that.
Should I get rid of the women quickly?
Yes. Can Mr. Gray be contained by a banana hammock? Next question from Dave. Which Danette would most likely use PEDs if they played sports? Seton.
Oh, I'd definitely use them. 100%. No doubt about it, I would.
You know, I don't know. I've never been that high. You know, I've never had like anything close to an athletic career. I don't think I would because I don't like cheating. But man, the money would be tough to pass up.
I would be fearful of roid raging. I definitely like being under control. But I would say Seton. Because Seton the other day was talking about these certain things he was going to do to help finish the marathon.
I almost started using steroids in high school, and I was a terrible baseball player who had absolutely nothing to actually, like no goal playing towards it. I was just going to use it like maybe I'll get better.
Yeah, you're like the other day, does that Ray Lewis deer stuff help you finish the marathon? I can see you going
It's easy to say you wouldn't if there's not, you're not a young guy that thinks that nothing's going to happen to them ever and there's millions of dollars on the line. But I think ultimately for me, I'd be too neurotic and checking every little purple pimple or whatever, side effects from the drugs that something horrible would happen beyond the medical things that I have to deal with already. So I wouldn't want to add to it with PEDs, and the guilt would be too much.
Of course. Taylor tweeted, rank the top 3 championships you would most want to attend. Super Bowl, Game 7, etc. Fritzy, start us off.
Top 3, I would go a World. If it went to a Game 7, I would go a World Series Game 7. I would go NBA Game 7, and I would probably go. I'd probably go Super Bowl. Although I really want to see Wimbledon at some point, but those would be my 3.
Man, I definitely want to do the World Cup because it's always in a pretty awesome location. Any type of Game 7 situation involving the Yankees is pretty sweet. And then, man, it's hard to not say the Super Bowl, but I'm sure there's something else out there I'd rather go to. Maybe the X Games. It's kind of lame, but I wouldn't mind doing that.
Oh, for me, it's got to be Wimbledon. I've always watched that on Saturday or Sunday morning and always thought, wow, that'd be cool. Nobody's tan at Wimbledon, and I don't have the ability to tan. So I'd be like a rock star there. Definitely the all grass championship, whatever they call it.
I'm going to go 3-1. 3, I would like to go to Sunday of a British Open, regardless of the British Open location.
Ooh, that's
Number
a good one.
2 would be the World Cup final. And number 1 would be the Olympics. I'd like to see the 100-meter men's final. I don't care where. I'd love to see Usain Bolt in person.
All right, well, Jeffrey wants to know, do any of the Danettes get mad/jealous of Professor Paulie dominating the live look-ins with his presentations? McLovin.
I don't think so, because there's plenty of room for all of us in the look-ins, even in a look-in where Paulie does have something for the back. And the truth is, like, even worse than when there's too much going on in a look-in, sometimes Dan isn't here for a look-in,
right.
And we know the camera is on us, so we don't really like to accentuate the fact that we're really boring people. So the more going on, the better.
And Paulie does a good job on a daily and nightly basis finding stuff, whether it's information or topics, and including video and setting it up. And I don't think he hogs the camera all the time because he throws it out to Dan and all of us to react to it. So I have no issue at all with him.
The only thing I don't like is occasionally it happens where you're talking with somebody and you have something going on. Paul's like, yeah, that's great. So anyway, I got these pictures over here. Check this out. And you're like, no, wait, I had something here. Like, oh, okay, yeah, let's look at
That is a tough thing
is.
for me. I catch myself doing that a lot. I have a look-in set, and then I notice Dan talk about something, and I'm kind of like, do I interrupt? Because what they're doing? Are they onto something? Are they not onto something? And who am I sometimes to judge if they're onto something? Because I may be interrupting a good bit or a good conversation. So the most thing I want to do on the look-ins is get these guys reacting. I don't care. I usually try to present it and then step out a little bit and let the reaction take over.
And you never can go wrong with a nut shot. Okay, stay right there, guys. Coming up, it's last call on the box score, and time to see how big a spot the Danettes hold in DP's heart. We'll be right back. The Box Score presents Great Moments in DP Show History. Thanks for watching Great Moments in DP Show History. Welcome back to the Box Score. Last call here at the Box Score Bar. McLovin, you are the gift that keeps on giving, that's for sure. Okay.
That was nice.
So the Josh Elliott hiring has made you guys a little uneasy in the man cave. Fritzy, have you logged onto the computer to update your resume, or do the adult sites distract you?
The adult sites do distract me. I haven't put anything down on paper, but you know, the wheels start turning and you're like, is this a joke? Is this serious? What's going on here? You know, what phraseology do I need to start working on to make myself look more important than I really am on a sheet of resume paper? But hopefully we could take Dan's word, and he loves the show and he's not going anywhere anytime soon with or without Josh Elliott's involvement in the Peacock.
Well, I'm pretty sure you guys breathed a sigh of relief when the boss gave you this little piece of love during the show.
This is what I want to do every day. I love doing this. If NBC ends tomorrow, I still have this show. If you said I had to choose between this show and NBC, I'd take this show. I don't know if NBC does. Of course, I told them the same, you know, something different. Hey, if the show ended, Dan Patrick Show or NBC, I'd take this NBC stuff. Football Night in America, the Olympics, are you kidding me?
Dan has said that from time to time, actually, that this is sort of, this show is like, you know, really what gets his juices going, and I believe him. The trouble that we have, or the one main obstacle we have, is keeping him motivated and keep pushing this show forward, and the other things are sort of an outside of this, but we have to keep Dan motivated and really wanting to grow this show as big as possible.
One thing, when you hear something like that, you think Dan will never stop doing this show. I mean, ever. You can't think of anything. So it always makes you think every show does end. I don't know how, but this show, like every other show, has to end. Whether it be by our choice, whether it be by DirecTV's choice, or some type of incident. But something's going to happen, and one day this show will have its final show. And in my head, I cannot picture the scenario, and it's kind of fascinating.
As long as this stays fun, he's going to keep showing up.
That's exactly what's going to happen. Unless something happens where, and I can't even put my finger on it, but it's going to be like a rash decision where we'll have a show on a Tuesday, and then on Wednesday it's all over. And that's how it will end, I believe, someday.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of rashes and decisions, Fritzy, who's on tomorrow?
Hall of Famer Cal Ripken Jr. will join us. Tony Dungy will be part of things. And we may hear from someone in the golf world on Tiger Woods not playing in the Masters coming up.
Okay, thanks, guys, and thank you for watching The Box Score. Tune in weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern only on Audience Channel 239, right here on DirecTV. Cheers.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees. Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching The Box Score. Holy cow!